Welcome to the Tamworth FC Social, a podcast all about Tamworth Football Club. Well, another home game, another home win, and another 3 goals. Can the Lambs now get their first away win of the National League season? I'm with Graham to discuss all that, plus the National League Cup announcement. So then, Graham, a very good response for Tamworth to the losses at Barnet and Eastleigh. 3 goals and so near to a clean sheet.
Yeah, really, really good result. I kind of was expecting that we'd get something out of it. I was feeling pretty positive going into it, especially with like Maidenhead's form as well. We played well at home for all of our games this season, so we've always got a chance. 3 really, really well taken goals, well worked. Obviously, stuff that they've been working on the training ground. Well, at least the first and the third goal, that's for sure. Acquire's goal was, I guess, just sort of is him being instinctive. But yeah, excellent result and something to kind of build upon now for us moving forward. All in all, a really pleasing day at the office.
Different sorts of goals, weren't they, as well, that Tamworth scored, which is probably a good thing when you want a team that can kind of mix it up a little bit. Interesting as well. So Chris Ray is now only 1 goal short of equaling his best ever National League tally for a season, which, given we're in September, is quite a stat. Like we were saying, weren't we, in the summer, like who is going to be the goal getter, so to speak. And he, ever since he started games, really, he's just been brilliant.
Yeah, I think he's been one of our best players, probably top 3 best players, along with like Luke Fairlam, really. Yeah, he's doing a really good job, and some of his finishes have been, very instinctive, and it was kind of what we were sort of missing for the first couple of games. If he'd have been on the pitch against Sutton United, had we won that game, maybe. But I think it's his experience of being in the National League and playing in the National League is you can see that he's sort of been at that level, and he's doing a really good job up there for us. Which is it's a tough position to be in, especially if you're playing away from home and you're kind of that lone striker. You've got to work pretty hard up there.
Not just about goal scoring either, is it? You've got to be able to do, off the ball stuff. You've got to be able to hold the ball up, link play. And I think what I've loved so far is how like Nathan Shakuna's kind of, I'm not sure if you call it a partnership, because Shakuna's not like an out and out striker, but there have been games where Shakuna's almost been like a 10 or like a second striker and like playing in tandem. And obviously Shakuna scored again, got a goal against Maidenhead. And it's like on the bingo card, but a Tom Tonks long throw. We don't need to go over again how unstoppable they are, but they are unstoppable. They just cause havoc in an opponent's defence. I think it's such a good attribute for a team to have when, maybe you don't need to do it more than a few times a game, but just to sort of try it out, and it's led to another goal.
Yeah, I think it's just it's good to have that weapon to come off the bench. And when you had like Tonks and Creaney come on, they'd sense that Maidenhead have probably got a bit of a weakness with set pieces.
Something you said as well after the game on Saturday is that by beating Maidenhead, so that meant Tamworth beat Maidenhead. Maidenhead a few weeks ago beat Barnet. Barnet, of course, beat Tamworth. It's like a circle of results. Kind of highlights just how open this division has been so far.
Yeah, it's quite unpredictable, isn't it? I mean, when we played Aldershot a couple of weeks ago, they'd just beaten Oldham 4-1. You thought, hang on, this is going to be tough. Yeah, we showed in that game that we can more than compete, and we won the game. So it's interesting because you can't almost, if you're a bottom of the league team in the National League, and you're looking at the results elsewhere and seeing that they're playing someone near the top of the league, you can't always rely on them necessarily doing you a favour because it is just so open. And I have heard, just listening to other podcasts and pundits, that the National League is an open league. This is what it's like every season. It's exciting, it's interesting, and everybody can beat everybody. And I think that's definitely been apparent so far.
In other news, details have been released about the National League Cup. So, in a nutshell, this is a cup competition starting this season that will feature teams from the National League and from the Premier League too. So 32 teams, 16 under 21 sides from the Premier League Two and 16 National League sides. And the premise of the competition is there's a group stage, first of all, and it's four groups of eight. And then the top two from each group go through to knockout rounds with a final in April. All the gate receipts go to National League teams. The combined prize fund for the competition is £1 million, and all the prize money goes to National League clubs. Tamworth's group opponents are Newcastle, Sunderland, Middlesbrough, and Leeds United. So those would all be under 21 teams. But then there'll also be National League teams in Tamworth's group, which are Boston, Gateshead, and Halifax. And as far as I can tell, it sounds like Tamworth will just play the under 21s teams from the Premier League Two, but then they'll be competing in the same table as the National League team. So it could be, in theory, two National League teams that go through in this group, or it could be, a combination of both, or it could be two Premier League Two teams. And it, of course, follows an announcement that was made earlier this year that replays were being removed from the first round proper of the FA Cup. It will be interesting, Gray, and see what sort of starting 11s Tamworth put out in this, because I can't really tell at the moment if this is going to be like a competition that teams are going to say, oh, we really want to win that, or if it's sort of going to go into the mix of other competitions and when you just manage it with the rest of your schedule.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get my head around the format of this at the moment. And the questions is like, so what happens if what if all National League teams go through? I'm guessing that they will have to just play each other in the next rounds, and that's just how it is. And why are we not playing National League teams as well? Or is that, I guess the whole point of it is it's more of a benefit for those Premier League teams than it is for the non-league teams. It's a bit of a strange one, really.
I saw Jazz Singh and Tom Tonks both posted on social media earlier after the announcement. That's worth a look to see how they're feeling. But when you're a part-time club, which Tamworth are, it's more matches that you're throwing into the schedule, isn't it? When 46 National League games, some FA Trophy and FA Cup games, obviously there'll be at least one in each. But when you're a part-time team, you just think, how is this going to spread across a squad?
Yeah, it's pretty insane, isn't it? And then if you layer that on top of things like, and I don't even know if we're in this Birmingham Senior Cup, Staff Senior Cup, we always used to go into those. I feel like it is benefiting the Premier League clubs more than the National League, and I don't know. I suppose it's going to they'll say it's going to bring in a few crowds because if Tamworth are playing Leeds United at home, then it sounds quite attractive. But there's not really going to be any household names or anything going there. It's purely for the youngsters, isn't it? So, and I suspect that Tamworth will probably play youngsters or players that are necessarily not in favour and just need game time. So from that perspective, with the big squad that we've got this year, that actually probably works kind of quite well because it means that some of these players are probably going to get some game time. So that's cool, but at the same time, it's just another one to add into a schedule. And if we've got a big 6-pointer on a Saturday and we've got to go play Sunderland, it's kind of a bit like, is that really necessary? And don't kind of feel like it's one of those things that's not going to last, but we'll see.
Exactly what I was going to say when you were saying about like if there's a big game, in the same week or something as one of these National League Cup games, and Tamworth don't train, as frequently as full-time teams. Like, what are you going to focus your training session on? Is it going to be the game that might get you out the relegation zone or might jump you up a few places in the table, or is it going to be a cup competition? I think I know the answer to that. Do you think you'll be going to any of these games, Graham? Is it the kind of thing you'd be intrigued to go and see for yourself?
Well, yeah, maybe. It's quite interesting to go and see like a Tamworth are playing Newcastle or Tamworth are playing Leeds United, but it's not really, is it? It's the youngsters. So, and yeah, there's going to be some talented footballers there, potentially guys who are going to be playing in might play in the Premier League soon or might be on the benches of the Premier League. So, yeah, I might do. Yeah, why not? I think I'd probably rather go and see a league game though, where there's a lot more at stake, isn't there? Or FA Trophy or FA Cup. Yeah, I'm kind of take it or leave it really for me.
Be intrigued to know as well how the process of deciding who's taking part, what the decision making process there was, because obviously there's not every National League team playing in this, and
Yeah,
there's a selection of these teams from higher up the pyramid of their under 21s teams are taking part.
I don't think it will last. Who knows? I might be the biggest fan of it by the end of the season if we were to win it. It's a trophy.
Be on Wembley Way with your Tamworth rosette and
Yeah, yeah. I
facing.
wonder where the final's going to be played. Have you
I haven't
seen that?
seen any mention of that actually. I was wondering maybe that's dependent on who's actually there.
Mm.
If it's like a Premier League teams under 21s, if they would do the honourable thing and host a final. Don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They'd have to put some first teamers out there. They'd have to.
Yeah. So then, looking to this weekend and beyond, Tamworth are 20th in the National League at the time of recording, 1 point and one place above the relegation zone, but they do have a game in hand on most of the division. Braintree are 21st and have won one match so far this season. They've scored 5 league goals, which is a joint low in the National League this season. And they are one of the promoted teams, having come up through the playoffs in the National League South. Fylde, though, 19th, and have conceded the most goals in the division with 19, but got their second win of the season on Tuesday night against Southend. And that was after a 4-game losing streak. I'd say there's a reasonable chance here that Tamworth get their first away win from the next 2 games, but I don't think it's going to be easy.
It's our best chance of the season so far on paper. On paper, when you look at our away form so far, we are bottom of the table. We've scored 1 goal and conceded 11, which doesn't make good reading at all. However, we have played some very good teams. We've played Barnet, we've played York City, all teams at the top of the table. So I don't think that's necessarily a fair reflection of what's going to come for the rest of the season. It's just that we've had some tough games. We're new to the league. We're adjusting. We're much more comfortable at home. We're in our own surroundings. When it comes to these away games so far, we've definitely found it tough. We did get a point at Boston, who are, I guess, one of those teams that are in and around us and sort of the so-called teams that are probably going to be nearer the bottom of the table. That's had a really good win. We just got to take that mentality, haven't we, into these next 2 games? I'd say Braintree, out of the 2 of them, is the most winnable. I think they've only scored 2 goals at home. They've conceded 2, I believe. So it could be a bit of it could be a bit of a tight affair. I'm not sure. We might just go for it a little bit more. I watched a bit of their highlights and they look a good side, to be fair. They've got some good experience up front with the chap Effiong, I think his name is, who used to play for Dagenham. They've signed some good players, to be fair. So in defence, we could, they didn't look the best. So I think that's the match that probably gives us the best opportunity of getting 3 points. I think Fylde, they've just got a new manager. New manager bounce, not ideal for us. Kind of annoying, really. We want these teams to keep those managers in there and keep losing. But we can't say that. We can't rely on the teams at all. But obviously, just beating Southend, I mean, that's a pretty good result for them. So they'll have quite a lot of confidence and belief, I guess, going into their game on Saturday, and then whatever happens there, going into the game on Tuesday. So that's a tough game on a Tuesday night. If we get a draw out of that, I'd be happy, to be perfectly honest. If we get 4 points out of those games, that would be a terrific return. If we get 3, that's good. You have to hope that we'll get something out of these games at least.
You're probably not going to get many sort of situations like this in the season where you're coming off the back of like a really good win into 2 away games against teams who are down the bottom end of the table. And yeah, you're right with Fylde as well. It's like typical timing, isn't it, that they part ways with their manager. I noticed earlier they're 2 caretakers in charge at the moment. Nathan D'Alfonso, who you might remember from his days in the Premier League with Aston Villa, and then Chris Neal, former goalkeeper of Tamworth
Hmm.
from, I think, 19 years ago. Is it 2005 he was
I remember
playing?
Preston, is it? It was on. He came on loan, didn't he?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, yeah. We'll get to our predictions shortly, but I've sort of chopped and changed my scoreline so much in the last few days. Like for all the reasons I'm thinking, well, Tamworth can to go to these two and get some points. It's like, well, they'll equally be looking at Tamworth coming to their home
Mm.
grounds and thinking, well, this is the team in Tamworth who have been really poor away from home so far,
Yeah.
and the emphasis will be on these two to sort of perform at home as well, won't it?
Yeah,
Um,
100%. Yeah, I think with Tamworth, that Eastleigh game was a reasonable away performance, and on another day we might have got a point out of that. I think they've got to have some belief. That's what I would say. They have to have belief that they can go and win these games because they're good enough. We're good enough at home. We more than compete. We should have more points on the board theoretically, really. Apart from probably, I would say the Barnet game, obviously, where things just didn't go right, and I think it's a learning curve. Probably say the same with York. And I said it to you to you guys. I said that in some ways there was areas of the Barnet game where we actually played better than we did the York game. Because I felt like we were completely outplayed in that game, but it was just that York kind of weren't as clinical as what Barnet were. So I think, yeah, you just draw a line today for that, and we have done. And we had the game against Eastleigh, and we played reasonably well, and we're probably quite unlucky, really, in the end. And when we've come back, we've got a decent home victory, and we're building. I think it's about belief. It's like, well, yeah, we can. We know we can compete now, so we don't need to worry about that. We can just go and play our way. I think we've just got to be a bit more, yeah, maybe just a bit more brave away from home.
Fylde have the National League's top scorer in their team, Nick Horton. He's got 8 goals, and Fylde have scored 11 overall. So he's
Oh,
fair to say a key player for them. He got 18 last season in this league as well. So
right.
some pedigree at this level.
Yeah.
So I guess he'll be one to watch if you're Tamworth's defence.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is time for our predictions now. And a reminder, you get 1 point for a correct result and 3 points for a correct scoreline in our mini league. Last time out, prior to the Maidenhead game, we all went for Tamworth wins, but none of us got the 3-1 scoreline. So that means I move up to 9 points, Graham moves up to 7, and Brett moves up to 2. For Braintree, I am going to say 1-0 to Tamworth. My logic there being Braintree, not massive goal scorers, not massive conceders at home either. And I don't know, I've just got a feeling Tamworth have got another win in them on this little run. What about you?
Yeah. I've been to and froing on this. I had a really instinctive in my head all week for some reason has been 2-2. And I can't quite put my finger on why that is, but I feel like Braintree are probably in need of scoring some goals at home themselves. And I feel like we're in need of scoring some goals away. But I don't like that scoreline. I don't like that scoreline. I don't know what it would really do for us. So I'm gonna say 2-0 to Tamworth. I'm gonna be quite bold here. I could go for the 1-0, but I'm gonna say 2-0. I think we'll score some goals. Just got that feeling. So I'm gonna go 2-0. I did originally think 2, but I'm gonna go 2-0 because I want to be optimistic.
It's a wonder neither of us have gone for a 0-0 for this one, given the lack of goals in Braintree home games. But there you go. And then on to Fylde away. So would you like to go first for this one?
Yeah, this one's a little bit trickier. I think I'm probably gonna say 2-1 to File. I think we might put a lot into Saturday and then maybe just fall maybe slightly short on Tuesday. Just thinking about that whole new manager bounce thing. So yeah, I'm gonna go 2-1 loss.
Yeah, this is the one I was toing and throwing over more, especially when the managerial change happened for Fylde as well. And then obviously they beat Southend, didn't they, the other night? Gonna go 1-1. I could have easily probably gone for like a 1-0 to Fylde as well. I would like to think Tamworth can avoid defeat over these two games. And Fylde as well lost 4 on the bounce before they beat Southend. But then, as we've said, the new manager bouncing it is real. So yeah, that'd probably be a factor. And then the goal machine that they've got in their team as well.
Mm,
Sounds like I'm talking as though I think they're going to lose, but I'm going to stick with 1-1.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I wouldn't be that surprised if Fylde end up beating Tamworth.
yeah. I think I'd take 3 points from these next two, and four would be very good.
Any final thoughts from you, Graham, before Tamworth get on the road for a few matches?
Like I said, we've got the games under our belt now. We're up and running, and we're doing okay. And we just got to have that belief, and yeah, just go into these games with confidence that we know that we can do what we do, and yeah, try and be as instinctive as possible.
Right, we'll leave it there for this episode of the Tamworth FC Social podcast. Thank you for listening. You can follow us on social media at TFC Social Pod. If you enjoy the podcast, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and give this episode a like. It really helps us grow our audience. Until next time, goodbye.